Hi guys, Big Monday here. Today we have another low MMR replay coaching. Today we're doing FlashFyre. He played Legion Commander today. No MMR posted, but this looking at the other players in the game, it's about 1.7k. Now, before we get into it, I want to quickly go over your Dota buff heroes list. Now, if we take a look at Legion Commander, notice we're going all the way down in the win rate. You only have a 40% win rate on Legion Commander with 47 games. You really should probably give up playing Legion Commander in ranked. Get that win rate up at least to 50% before you start playing it in ranked. If we take a look above, if we look at the heroes you played above, let's say above about 15-20 matches and you've got above 50% win rate, we're talking Weaver, Bloodseeker, Drow Ranger, Anti-Mage, Slark. I mean, you play a lot of Cancer. OD, Spectre, Medusa. These are all pretty good heroes for you. You've got a very solid win rate, a decent number of games. Phantom Assassin, definitely. 60% over 88 games. You clearly know your Phantom Assassin. Same with Luna. Same with Chaos Knight. Necrophos, 72% win rate. 25 is kind of enough to... So... These are the heroes you really want to be focusing on. That said, this is a coaching video, so let's get to it. Now, I want to start this one on the pick screen because I noticed a little bit of banter between you and the Axe. The Axe was smack talking you, and you made a comment that your team fed. And this game you played Jungle Legion Commander, so I think you need to understand that whenever you play a jungler, your team are sacrificing so that you can be jungle. Now, that's a trade-off. Is that you might get something amazing out of the jungle and then snowball and win the game. What you might do is come out of the jungle. Your team gets stomped because they're 4v5. You come out of the jungle and you're not strong enough to win the game. And that's what happens in a lot of games when people go jungle. Now, when you are going to go jungle, you have to appreciate that your team is sacrificing so that you can do that. And that's important because it should change some of your decision making depending on what you do while you're jungling. We'll talk about that because there's some specific situations when we get in. But you need to consider that your team are sacrificing. At the very least, you need to be appreciative of their sacrifice. You need to show them some love because they have sacrificed for you to jungle. Now, I'm not a fan of Legion Commander jungle, especially with this lineup though. I mean, Earth Spirit's okay as a roamer, but this is a pretty weak support. So I think you should have been looking to pick a support or an off lane in this game. Now, the last guy probably should have picked support and told you to go off lane, but okay, this is low MMR for a reason. Let's get past the picks because you certainly could have got away with the way you played this game with some small changes, and we could get away with your playstyle all the way up to about 2.5k MMR. Well, let's just fast forward through this now.
Prepare for battle.
It really doesn't like being fast forwarded over that bit, but okay, let's go player perspective. Now, you're starting out in build. Looks like a jungle build, but you've gone straight for the Iron Talon and some tankers, which is... There's certainly an argument to be made for it, but what I would rather have seen is the Quelling Blade, a Stout Shield, tangos, and some branches. Now, the reason for that is you can't kill the big camps quite as quickly, but there are some ways we can be more effective by killing the small camps. Now, the shield is more effective when we kill camps that are a large number of small enemies, which is we get from the small camp and the medium camps. So this helps us take big camps quicker, but that's not always what we want to do. Again, we will talk about that in more detail in a moment. I kind of like that you help this guy block, because for the first 30 seconds you're doing nothing, but you do need to be at a camp ready to take it by 30 seconds. So you should have ditched earlier in this. I mean, it looks like you came to lane and you wanted to farm the gold for your shield before you go to jungle, but you don't really need to do that. And we'll just watch your laning phase till you've got it, and then we'll talk about why. So if I free cam it for a moment. Now, one of the ways you could, as a jungler, one of the ways you can make up for your team having no support. I mean, this guy, he's got no support. You're taking his last hits. You are harming your Sven being here. Now, what you could do is you could come, as soon as this camp spawns, you come down, you start hitting this camp. If you have Stout Shield, Quelling Blade, Tangos and Branches, you start hitting this camp. And you hit this camp until the timer hits 53. In almost all cases, you will kill all but one creep in it. So you hit it until the timer hits 53, and then you run south. If you were on the dire side, you do the same thing here, then you run north. So you hit this camp until 53, you run south, you stack it. You then sit and wait until 12 seconds past the minute. You hit the camp once, and you run south. That pulls the creeps. The creeps will tank this camp for you. You wait until there's about 1.5 creeps left, and then you hit this camp. You'll have to run over a little bit before, and it takes a bit of practice, but you hit this camp, and then you pull them to the left. Now, you're probably going to miss about two last hits while this happens, but you should still be in experience range. And that then pulls the lane creeps over to here. Now, what the end result of that is that by 1.5 minutes, you've killed the small camp twice, the large camp once, and you're still on full health. At this point in the game, you have killed no camps. If we fast forward to the point, to about 1 minute 30, which is where you'd be then. So we're 1 minute 30. That's about where you'd be if you had done what I just told you. You'd have killed the large camp, you'd have killed 2 small camps, and you'd have denied a full creep wave from the enemy. You could also have got the bonus experience from denying those creeps if you're good with your denies. As it stands at the moment, though, you've killed 1 large creep, not the whole camp. You are nearly dead. And you stole a few last hits from the Sven. So the Sven is doing worse than he would be if you had done that, and you are doing much worse. So there's certainly an argument to be made in some games that if you just start here and here, and maybe if you get lucky and get the right large camp, that you can jungle faster if you don't do this. But this is super consistent. It will get you level 2 a good way up to level 3, and it leaves you on full health, and it helps you safe lane. So come and do that. I mean, it makes up for the fact that you're jungler. So for the first 2 minutes of the game, you are the second support. So your team isn't struggling being without support. It gets your Sven a level advantage against the Earthshaker, and by now, and you'd still be full health. So as it stands at the moment, if the Earthshaker had just wandered down and found you, I mean, he's pinging now that you're missing. If he'd have wandered down here and found you jungle in that camp, you would be dead. He'd have dropped 1 Fissure on you, and there'd have been nothing you could do. If he'd have sort of blocked you here, he'd have dropped a Fissure, does 110 damage, and then he walked in and right-clicked you once, you'd be dead. It's only the fact that the enemy team, you got lucky that they didn't see you. If he had a ward there, which in a higher skilled game he would have a ward somewhere here, and he would have seen this. If he'd have got a ward there, he'd have found you, he'd have killed you. Now, also, if you'd have done what I said with all the pulls, you'd have cleared this camp ever so slightly faster. And as it stands at the moment, you'd have got here slightly sooner. You'd be well on the way to level 4 by now. You'd have got to this camp fast enough to stack it. Now, if you look at the spawn box, the way you pulled it to the left, you would actually have had time to stack that. You were a little bit late, but you would have had time to stack it if you'd have ran south instead. If you hold the Alt key, it shows you the shape and the size of the spawn boxes. This camp is a little bit later than some. It's 54 seconds to, really close to 55. But if you run south or you run north, then it stacks much, much easier. We just fast forward a bit. Now, you're reasonably high on health, so I kind of like the fact that you wandered over here and gave a heal to this guy who was having a really rough lane. He really needed it. In most games, I wouldn't have expected to see that, but I wouldn't have been looking to see that either, but It's nice that you did that. Really helped this guy when he's struggling. So let's just fast forward again. So you kind of got lucky as well. If you'd have got centaurs in this camp, you would be much lower than you are now, because they hit really hard. Again, it's why you have to start on these camps for some consistency, because there's less luck involved. By using the creeps to tank for you, there's a lot less luck involved. Again, you've got a centaur, but now you've got 2 levels in Moment of Courage, you're kind of okay with it, so we're all good. Just fast forward a little bit. Now, what you really want to be looking for here is you want to be keeping an eye, once you get to level 5, you want to be keeping an eye on anybody who's low.
Golden thread.
So just fast forward till you get there. Again, you are taking the small camp. If you're going to take the time to take the small camp, pull for your safe laner. No reason not to. And if we just back that up, nearly missed that. See, if you'd have gone straight to the ancients there, you could have made it in time to stack it, and that would have been much more value. So either you need to pull for your safe laner, because that gets value for your safe lane, or you need to get over and stack one of the bigger camps, because now you've got 2 levels in the Moment of Courage. You're gonna be able to take bigger camps, or you stack it for a bit later down the line. Either way, the small camps are only really worth it when you're still level 1. Again, more mana. You don't need more mana. You need to. You are constantly ferrying mana out so that you can spam press the attack for heals. You don't need more mana. What you need to do is be able to manage your jungling better, which you can do by taking the smaller camps first, by doing the pull to get the creeps to tank for you. So you're well into level 5. At this point, you should be looking around the map for anyone who's low. You want to keep an eye out for anyone who's low to get ready to duel. Now, when you're going to duel, you don't want to wait for your initiation item. You don't wait for your blink dagger. You don't wait for your shadow blade. They're what let you get reliable duels later on. But as soon as you get duel, you need to be using it. So you need to be looking. You need to ask yourself, firstly, is anyone consistently being low around the map? So you're level 5 now, you're nearly 6, you should be checking, this is your player perspective, you should be checking who's low right now, or asking chat, if I come, can anyone get a kill? So Sven's quite a good one, because he's got a reliable stun, he's got a speed boost to help you get there faster. Ember Spirit's a great hero for you to join, because he has both a disable and a decent amount of nuke damage. But look at this guy here. This guy here, if he is on half health, if Sven stuns for you, you can get in range. So yeah, that's your first question. Who's consistently low? Your second question is, how do I get a duel off? So what you want to look for is people on your team that have a reliable range stun, or an ability to help you catch up. So Sven is great for that, and Ember Spirit is great for that. Now,
Double kill.
So what you can do, you coordinate with Ember. You say, Ember, I'm coming to gank your lane. Be ready. And you get him to stun first. Then you walk up with the bonus speed you've got from your phase boots. You just walk in and duel. Right, so your next question. Okay, hang on. Let's back up. You don't just walk in and duel. You have to get the Ember to nuke first, and you duel after. You wait till his disable is about to run out, and then you duel. So I don't want to leave that at you just duel. I think I should have elaborated on that. So that's what you want to do. You want to go in, get whoever's got the stun or a catch-up ability to go in and first, and then you follow up. Now, the other thing you want to consider is who's got burst damage. Now, if you've got a Lina in the lane, if you've got a Slark who's got Echo Saber, which admittedly in this game we're a bit early for that. If you've got a Slark with Echo, a Tiny, something like that, anyone with burst damage, that's also somewhere you want to prioritise showing up at. You're going to prioritise showing up there because they're the ones you can instantly duel and still win. And you use the duel more as a disable. Whereas in this game, you also want to be looking for a duel. Every time duel is off cooldown, you want to be looking for a duel.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I mean, it's got a 50-second cooldown. You should be using it every 50 seconds. What you want to do when you choose a duel target is, once you've gone through all the considerations of how do I get a duel off, let's just watch this one first. That was... Okay, your Ember Spirit's stupid. So once you've gone through all the consideration of how do I get a duel off, your next question is, who's the best person to duel? Now, when you start the game, when you first get duel, you are often going to have to go for duels that are a bit difficult to get because people can escape. Ones that are a bit borderline. So your question is, if I lose the duel, who is probably going to die 1 or 2 right clicks after I win? And Axe is definitely not one to duel. Earthshaker is borderline, depending on what farm he gets, what items he gets. Anti-Mage definitely not, because if you duel him and the duel ends, he's just going to blink away. But Shadow Fiend is reasonably squishy. There is the risk of if you kill Shadow Fiend, his death might kill you or deal big damage, but he's reasonably squishy, and the Skywrath Mage is obviously quite squishy. So you want to be looking to duel Skywrath, Shadow Fiend, or the Earthshaker. And there you want. You want to look at someone that, even if you don't finish the duel, who are you going to then pick up the kill on? Because at this point you're 0-0, and you got 1 assist. And what you want to happen is, even if you fail the duel, you get a kill or an assist. So you are still succeeding. Now again, we have had duel for 4 or 5 minutes. There should be 4 or 5 duels on the board now. Even if you didn't win them, you should have 4 or 5 kills or assists, because if you pick the right duel targets, they die after the duel ends. And this is what you're not doing. You are not looking for people to duel. Now, in your skill bracket, it can be quite difficult, and I appreciate that, because people do not follow up. But what you do is you tell them in chat. Come on, chat. Just open the chat. Say, Sven, I'm coming to your lane. I want to duel someone. And then when you get near there, not when you don't wait, because you wait a little bit because you need the Sven to go in first. But you get there, you ping the shit out of the enemy offlaner, and Sven initiates first. You run in with your phase boots and get a duel. And that's what you need to do. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Sven. It could be anyone who's got a range disable to help you close that gap. But you tell them in chat first that you're coming, and then you ping the hell out of them. Wait for them to go first, and then you follow. Now, you're going Shadowblade in this game, which there is someone on your team who's invisible. There is a high chance that the enemy are going to buy detection and have it down ready. So it might have been better in this game to go Blink first. You probably get away with invisibility a lot more in low MMR. People don't buy detection as often as they should. In fact, if I take a look at the enemy team's perspective briefly, they currently have no sentries on the map, despite the fact they're fighting a Weaver. So you can get away with invisibility for a while, but the enemy team are more likely to buy detection and have it down ready. So do not expect, when you have an invisible hero on your team, you want to lean more towards getting a Blink Dagger than getting a Shadowblade. So let's just fast forward till we have a couple more duels. There's a couple more good ones that show good points a little bit further into the game. Again, duel is ready. You should be coordinating with your team to set up a duel kill. I mean, almost every duel you went for in this game, you went for solo. It didn't matter whether your team was there, you went anyway. You didn't coordinate with your team, you didn't wait for them, you went for everyone solo. Which, if you get 3 or 4 duels in a row early on, you snowball and then you can just go and blow anyone you like up. But you really need to coordinate with your team. This is why you are Legion Commander. This is your Legion, command them. If you have duel up, tell these guys to get their ass over here and help you set up a duel kill. Seriously, every game with a Legion Commander is winnable when you're playing Legion Commander, because you have theoretically infinite damage. If you can set up the duel kills, you could have 4,000 bonus damage if the game goes long enough. but you need to coordinate with your team. Command them. Tell them to get their ass over here and come duel with you. Kind of like that you started going Blightstone. There are some heroes that you really need to deal with the extra armor on, like the axe. But in this game, I think one of... Oh, that was a nice duel. Guaranteed to get. Super easy, under the tower, nearly dead. Perfect. Now, the thing with a Deso is best when you get it fast, and when you have... This was totally crazy. I don't know what you're thinking here. That guy is he's a position 5. There is no way it's worth being that crazy. He just fed the axe a double kill, diving for support. Don't do that. If you want to go for dodgy plays, it needs to be on a hero that's really valuable. Skywrath isn't. So, if you're going to go Deso, it needs to be early. Because a Deso is super powerful if you get it before anyone's managed to buy any armor items. Axe now has plenty of money to buy armor items because you've just fed him a double kill. Anti-Mage, not so much, but he can escape you anyway. Shaker's going Shadow Blade. This guy's not going to have any armor, so you're going to get away with it. It's going to be quite valuable, this game. Let's just fast forward a little bit more, back till you're up. Ooh. So, you seem to want to split push a lot in this game, and I don't think you have 2 people in your team that split, but maybe even 3, depending on how they build. You have 3 people that split push reasonably well. Ah, this is a perfect one I wanted to show off. I'm going to stop talking while we watch this. So you're looking for the anti-mage, and you do this right. You right-click him first, and then you duel. And here. This is what I'm talking about picking good duel targets. Because if you had picked a Skywrath, if you had picked an Earthshaker, or you had picked a Shadow Fiend, at this point here, even though you didn't win the duel, you would get a kill. But that happens. Now he blinks away. Now, once you've got 5 or 6 duel wins, and you've got a lot more right-click damage, you can do that to an anti-mage. Once you can start blowing him up during the duel, you're all good. You just go in and blow him up and you get out. You can do it fast enough that it's worth it. But at this point, early on, you need to pick those squishy targets so that even if you fail the duel, you can pick up the kill after. Now this was a bit unfortunate. The enemy team was smart and came looking for you after the anti-mage. I'm quite surprised that in a sort of 1.7k game they did that, but they don't have wards here either. They just literally saw you and guessed. So that was unlucky. So we'll fast forward till you're up. A little bit too far. Let's go through this fight again. So again, we're going for the anti-mage. There is literally no way you kill this guy.
We weren't finished.
Again, you have come to lane, you've been here 5 seconds, and you are nearly out of health and you're out of mana. Because you're fighting an anti-mage, and he's going to do bonus damage to you because of his mana burn, and you can't kill him fast enough. He needed to be lower. You needed the patience to wait for your team. If we watch what happens now, the anti-mage gets out. So they get a kill, but a few seconds after the duel ends, your whole team turns up. This could have been, if you'd have waited 5 seconds, your team would have been here. Let's just watch where the Earthshaker goes. See, what you've got to plan for here is that he's probably got a support with him, hiding behind the trees. When there's a core pushing really crazy like this and the supports aren't showing on the map, they're probably somewhere nearby. You could have gone into the trees behind to look for an Earthshaker while you waited for Sven here to catch up. Or you could have just sat here and waited for Sven to catch up so you got a little bit of extra burst damage to finish this anti-mage off. There is no need for you to go in instantly. You don't have the damage yet. I mean, once you've got plus 100 damage, you're fine. go straight in. At this point, you've got to be more careful about it. And you're lucky that you didn't have much. You don't have much of a mana pool, or the anti-mage would have wrecked your whole team then. So this could have been, if you'd have waited 5 seconds, this could have been another duel win. Now, just to quickly go over the fact that you only have 10 duel damage now, and most of the time when duel is up, you are still jungling. We are 20 minutes into the game. You've had duel for about 14 minutes, which is easily enough time to duel 20 times. Yeah, borderline. Let's call it 16 times. You duel 16 times. You could have dueled 16 times by now, and if you'd have picked the right targets, you guarantee a kill or assist afterwards. And let's say you win half those duels. Half is reasonable. If you put any effort into communicating with your team to coordinate those kills, you win half of them. Half of 16 duels, that's 10. That's 8 duels. 8 duels is plus 80 damage. So you could in an average game, without too much trouble, have plus 80 damage. And all you have to do is every time this is off cooldown, you coordinate with somebody on your team to set up a duel. Even if you don't win the duels, you pick the right targets, people who can't escape and people who aren't super tanky. You pick the right duels, you get the kill anyway, and you'd have had 80 duel damage by now. If you had 80 duel damage right now, you would have killed that anti-mage before the duel ended, and then you're at this point where you just snowball into more kills and more kills and more kills and more kills and more kills. And what you're probably used to is that happens in some games, but you don't know how to make it happen in every game. And this is how, is that you coordinate with your team and you set up a kill every single time this is off cooldown. Plan it, when this gets down to 10 seconds on the timer, you need to be talking to somebody on your team to arrange your next kill. You need to be setting it up ready. Give them some advance notice. You watch a pro game, or like even just a 5k MMR game of Legion Commander, and you'll see them having 100 duel damage by 20 minutes. Sometimes 150, sometimes more. Let's just fast forward again, because there's another fight I quite like coming up really soon. Kind of like the fact that you're jungling the smaller creeps to recover your health, but you don't have... you kind of need to get your team to get some D wards out. I mean, your wards are a little bit too defensive. They're like right on your back lines. You can't see anyone coming in to gank you, so it's possibly a little bit dangerous. That's not too bad. This was a bit of a waste. You really need to ping this. I mean, this guy needs a heal, and he's standing right here. Just alt-click the shrine. If people don't show up at the shrine, don't wait forever. What I tend to do is I give people 5 seconds, and if they don't at least tell me they're coming, or start heading towards me, then I use it. Because you can use the argument, well, I didn't want to waste my efficiency. Now at this point, I feel that you got the Earth Spirit killed. Now, you were invis, you were standing near enemy heroes, and you got a double damage rune. In almost every game, I would expect you to initiate with that. Now, it's not your fault he died, but you contributed. But he thought you were going to go in with that rune. Now, you kind of got unlucky. If we look at that again from his perspective, you were just left up there, and then Axe comes in.
Double damage.
See, he gives you mana. He's probably expecting you to come back him up here. And the axe comes from here. The timing on that was just really, really unlucky. If we look at Axe's perspective... In fact, let's free cam it for a moment. We'll free cam from your hero. If we watch this, you see, watch the fog. You see, he comes in this tiny little bit of fog between both of you, and it was really unfortunate timing. But I don't want to say it was your fault this guy died, but you really should look to do something with a double damage rune, and this guy was expecting you to. So it's not your fault he died. That's wrong to say, but you need to do something with the double damage rune, and this guy was expecting it. and that's why he died. I think he's farming a little bit aggressively. I mean, he could be farming aggressively because he's bad, but I suspect he's farming aggressively because you just picked up a DD. You were wandering around fishing invisible, so he thinks you're going to look for a kill. I think you probably should have gone looking for a kill. Not necessarily here, but you should have used that DD rune to go fishing. And I'm really hoping you do. Go back to player perspective. So we do have Jewel up right now, and we have a Shadow Blade. Now we should be fishing. Perfect.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Perfect target. You see how fast he blows up. Now this was greedy. This is what I mean about you going for solo kills. Now if you'd had a good start, got 3 or 4 dual wins in a row, just by luck, you'd have snowballed to the point where you won or 2-shot that guy and you got out 3 seconds earlier, and everything's fine. But you are the Legion commander. You need to command your Legion to get their ass over here and help you. Now you are currently playing the solo commander. You tried a solo kill on a support. That's fine. You got the kill. But because your team wasn't nearby for a follow-up, I mean, some of them are, some of them aren't. Because your team weren't nearby for a follow-up, you weren't considering where your team is, you are now going to die. Unless you are super lucky.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Honestly, at that point, once he failed his chop, I would have just prayed for lifesteal and hit him. You were probably going to die anyway, but I would have prayed for lifesteal and hit the guy. I mean, sometimes RNG just wins games. So, I mean, that was a 1-for-1. You did get some much needed dual damage, which is kind of okay. But if you'd have set up, gave your team like 4 seconds to get in position, you wouldn't have died. Your team could have saved you. I mean, this guy could have stunned for you. This guy could have come in and blown someone up. The Sven could have stunned someone. About 24, there's another good fight I think we should go over. So you're pushing aggressively now. What you need to anticipate is that at some point, they are going to come looking for you. Because you're being aggressive, they're going to gank you. Now, only one is showing now, which means they're probably coming for you.
Radiant structures are fortified.
So this was a really good example of you getting super lucky. Let's take a look at that from the Axe's perspective. Because you should have died then. So he's coordinating with his team. He's like, let's go kill this Legion commander. She's being super aggressive.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
He decides to blink where he can't see you. Now, if he used his blink then, which he shouldn't have done, because if he had his blink, he would have had it. If he hadn't have used his blink then, he would have had it ready to save the Skywrath. He also only has enough mana for 1 spell. So let's say, again, here, if he hadn't have used Battle Hunger, he could have literally just walked in and used Berserker's Call to save the Skywrath. And if this guy had used his mana boots as he walked up, the Axe could have used his Berserker's Call and saved the Skywrath. So you literally got this kill because 3 players on the enemy team screwed up. You should not have got away with that. What should have happened is the Axe Berserker's called you, and you died. But you were super lucky. Yeah, if he'd have got the Berserker's call off, Skywrath would have dropped his ulti on you. You'd have died before you could react. That's what should have happened. So you got lucky there. I wanted to go over that because this is what I mean about you. You sometimes get what happens a lot of the time with the Legion commander is they get lucky with 3 or 4 wins in a row early on, and then they snowball with it. But they don't. You can't consistently make it happen. And being consistent is important. Now, you had a Deso queued up. And you've changed it to a Silver Edge, and I really don't like that because the only passive in this game that you really affects you is the axe passive, and it doesn't do that much damage to you because you don't hit that fast. I mean, if he initiates on you and you happen to duel him while you're under your creep wave, then you're going to take a few spins. But otherwise, it doesn't really. The passives in this game don't really do a lot. I mean, the presence of the Dark Lord gives this guy quite a lot of damage, but you have a blade mail. You want him to hit you hard. So let's just watch how you initiate this fight. So we're now going to invis.
You fought badly.
So again, this comes down to picking your targets. You have dueled the tankiest guy on the enemy team, and what happened is effectively you just stunned yourself for Skywrath to come in and drop his ulti on you. What you really need to do in a fight, when a fight starts, is you don't go in first. Not until you've got like plus 100 duel damage and you can just two-shot anyone. You don't go in first. What you should be doing is waiting for somebody like the Skywrath or somebody like the Earthshaker to be in a position where you can pick them off. See, what you want to do is go stand here. Hold Alt, it will show you the tower range. If I slow it down, hold Alt, it will show you the tower range. So you could come and stand here. You can wait for the fight to pass you. What you could be doing is standing here right now as the Skywrath is TPing in. You wait for the enemy team to all split up, and then you jump the Skywrath. Now, as you've seen already, you are 2 or 3 hitting the Skywrath. So if you'd have done that, and you'd be waiting now, the Skywrath would be dead. You wouldn't have been ulted. The Weaver wouldn't have been ulted. These guys would still all be alive, but the Skywrath would be dead. You would be full health. The Weaver would be full health, and you would have a duel victory.
Kill!
So let's go one more, I think.
Double kill!
Haste.
So I really don't like the Silver Edge pickup in this game.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
It's about 30 minutes. There was another one I quite liked. And again, you are solo dueling people with no backup. You're really, really too early. Now, he does die eventually, but if you... Let's just go back to the setup here. So let's watch your perspective for this setup. Now, you're going to walk past the Sven, who's jungling. That's fine.
'Tis mine.
Ignore the blade mail, it's a replay bug. Right, so you Shadow Blade and you go fishing. Now, the axe is a hard kill. A really hard kill. And he can escape, you probably don't want to do it. If you're looking at your map though, you can see the Earthshaker's here too. So it might be more sensible to go on the Earthshaker. You have an Earth Spirit nearby, but he has no burst. And you have a Sven nearby. Now, what you should be doing at this point is waiting for this guy to go past and look for somebody squishy at the back. At the very least, you need to wait for your team to close the gap and be ready to jump. Now, it did happen. Your team did join you because they saw what you saw. They saw this opportunity that you can start a good fight. But if you'd have waited 3 seconds before you went in, Sven would have done that before you started the duel, and you'd have another duel victory. So it went okay, the fight went okay, but you're still a little bit early, a little bit premature.
Double kill!
Radiant's
Double
top
So
kill!
this is one of the big things. It's in the name, Legion Commander. You need to
Radiant's top
work
tower
with
has
your
fallen.
Legion. You need to work with your team. Legion Commander's not about getting solo kills. Legion Commander is about working with your team to set up kills. It's the best way to do it. Again, you're going fishing. Fishing only works when you have a big lead. When you might find a shadow. You might find a Skywrath, and you might get a kill. But you might also walk into an axe when you're solo, and he could have an anti-mage near him, and then you'll die. If you have a big lead, it's fine, because you can blow someone up and get back out. If you don't have a big lead, you need to coordinate with your team. And there were enemy heroes there. If they'd have got a sentry ward down, you could have died then. Fast forward a little bit more.
Yes.
Let's haste rune. Do a little lap of the jungle. And we're fishing again. We are again, you are solo. Every time you go for a kill, your team isn't nearby. It's sometimes a good idea, if you are going to go fishing, fish near your team so they can react. Or if you see 4 heroes on the left side of the map and you see 1 on the right, then maybe go for the one that's on the right. But you need to be near your team for follow-up, or you need to know where the enemy are to pick on the squishies. Okay, so we've just seen a Shadow Fiend wandering around near a ward. And a Skywrath. Should be pinging the hell out of those guys now. Again, you're up on your own again. It's kind of bad that your team are just AFK. Like, your team are far too spread out. I mean, the Sven is just AFK at this point. But this was just sad. This was just sad.
Under attack.
Nicely.
Questions, what do we think happens here? Yep. The thing is, you feel like that's a small mistake because you dueled an illusion just after he hit Manta. And it happens. It does happen. I mean, it's easy for me to see because I can see that they're illusions, you can't. The thing is, unless you have a big lead, you can't kill him anyway. Not without your team behind you to follow up. And you're out on your own. You've got 4 team members in base right now. There's no way you get that kill on the anti-mage. No way at all. All you've done there is waste duel. That's all you've done. You need to coordinate with your team for follow-ups. Now, if you're really far ahead, which is, it kind of feels like you're playing as if you are, but you're not. If you're really far ahead, you can go for solo kills like on calls like that. But if you're not really far ahead, you need to coordinate with your team. You really need to coordinate with your team. I mean, they're being far too scared right now and they're hiding in base. You could fight. What you kind of need to do is get somebody else to initiate, and then you come in and follow up. You need to wait till somebody gets low, or pick on someone who's squishy. But I think we'll call it there because I mean this was just. I mean this was unfortunate. See, and this is the other problem with dueling someone when you're out on your own. Is that you took a risk dueling that anti-mage in that you would get a duel victory and then you would get out. Now you didn't get a duel victory, and you didn't get out.
Your life on my
You've got to
steel.
pick your fights more carefully. You have to pick fights you are guaranteed to get, and heroes with escapes are not the right heroes to duel. Heroes that are tanky are not the right heroes to duel. It's got to be people who are squishy, and it's got to be people who can't escape. And you need your team there for follow-up in case things go south. Right, I think we'll call it there. I think that's plenty on Legion Commander. Really hope you found this useful. If it has been useful, I would really appreciate the like. It's the first time and probably the last time I've said that. Until next time. But thanks for watching, guys. As usual, I'm gonna open a discussion on Reddit. Keep an eye out for the link in the description. Come join the discussion. More than welcome. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.